Bella slowly lifted her head, confused, but fighting the pain. They don't eat each other, the second maid continued. They only eat outsiders, travelers, visitors, people who come with promises, pride, and confidence. Before we continue, please hit subscribe, like this video, and let me know in the comments where in the world you're watching from. I believe this story found you today for a reason. Bella believed life was a marketplace, and everything, absolutely everything, had a price tag. She didn't argue with destiny. She negotiated with it. If patience failed, money would answer. If shame knocked, she muted it. And if tomorrow looked uncertain, she simply outspent the fear. She lived fast like someone who didn't keep receipts. Nights belonged to her. Clubs, hotel lobbies, loud laughter, borrowed confidence, and men who promised nothing but paid anyway. She told herself it wasn't recklessness. It was strategy. After all, hunger didn't respect morals, and bills didn't accept good intentions. Money did the talking, and Bella listened closely. Her phone was her prayer altar. Every alert felt like validation. She trusted cash more than people and preferred transactions to emotions. Clean, quick, no attachments. Love was optional. Comfort was not. Bella liked to joke that her village was anywhere money day. She packed light, moved quickly, and never looked back. If a door of opportunity opened, she stepped in without checking who else might be inside. Some people plan their lives carefully. Bella improvised. She laughed easily, spent freely, and believed luck favored the brave, or at least anyone bold enough to collect payment up front. Then one night, this particular night didn't feel special when Bella was getting dressed. It felt like every other night, she had survived on instinct and eyeliner. She stood before her mirror, adjusting her dress, already calculating the possible outcomes. Good music, better drinks, maybe a generous stranger, definitely money. Whatever happened after midnight was future Bella's problem. The club welcomed her with noise and heat. Lights flickered like restless spirits, and the music hit her chest before her feet touched the floor. Bella blended in easily. This was her natural habitat. Laughter too loud, confidence on loan, perfume mixed with sweat and ambition. She danced the way people danced when they weren't asking permission from tomorrow. Men hovered, some tried too hard, some talked too much. Bella filtered them with experience. Then she noticed Femi. He didn't rush, didn't shout, didn't touch before being invited. He sat back watching, sipping his drink like a man who knew the night would eventually come to him. That calm pulled her in. When he finally spoke, his voice was steady, almost gentle, and his jokes landed without trying. Bella laughed more than she planned to. One drink became two. Two became three as they shared laughter. The music softened around them. By the time he suggested they leave, it felt less like a decision and more like a continuation. When they got to his hotel room, it was quiet, clean, and expensive in a way that didn't need explanation. The night passed, and they did what they were expected to do for the night, as usual for Bella. It was business. Bella woke to sunlight and the soft hum of the air conditioner. She stretched lazily, already planning breakfast and calculating how the morning would end. Femi sat at the edge of the bed, fully dressed, elbows resting on his knees. The playful man from the night before had disappeared. This one looked careful, deliberate. He cleared his throat and began to talk slowly, like someone rehearsing words he had already decided on. "I'm traveling home for Christmas," he said. "My village. I don't like going alone for Christmas." He paused, eyes fixed on the floor, then continued. "If you follow me," he added calmly, "I'll pay you $10,000. Bella gasped. "What?" She blurted, sitting up so fast the sheets slipped from her shoulders. Femi nodded, calm, as if he had just mentioned cheap change that could be used as transport fare. He went on explaining, talking about family, the trip, how long they'd stay, and how she wouldn't lack anything. He even asked if she had family she needed to inform, someone who might worry. Bella didn't let him finish. "Femi," she said, eyes shining, already calculating what she would do with the money in her head. "Say no more," she laughed, A short, excited laugh that betrayed her immediately. "Money is the cocoa," she added proudly. "Forget my family. I belong to nobody." Decision made, no hesitation, no questions. In that moment, Bella didn't see danger. She saw $10,000 waiting to be collected. Femi himself didn't waste time. Almost immediately, he picked up his phone and asked for her account details. His tone was calm, like a man closing a deal he had already budgeted for. Bella watched him, still half excited, half suspicious, until her phone vibrated. An alert came in. 7.5 million naira, half payment. He already converted $5,000 to naira and sent it to her account since he knew she didn't have a domiciliary account. Bella screamed. She jumped off the bed like electricity had shocked her, laughing, shouting, spinning around the room. In pure excitement, she flung herself at Femi, hugging him tightly, garnishing his face with kisses like gratitude needed physical expression. "You're serious?" She laughed. "You're actually serious?" Femi smiled, satisfied, already standing up. He said there was no need for her to go home, no need to pack, no need to explain anything to anyone. Whatever she needed, they would buy it. And just like that, Bella found herself in malls and boutiques, picking dresses, shoes, bags, things she hadn't planned for, but didn't refuse. Femi paid calmly, telling her to choose more, insisting she looked like someone going home for Christmas in style. Bella didn't argue. Why would she? Her village might not know her, but money did. They left the city the same day. Bella didn't ask where the village was. She didn't ask how far. She didn't ask what road they would take. Those questions belonged to people traveling on hope, not on a $5,000 part payment. As long as the car was moving and comfort followed, Bella was fine. The journey stretched longer than she expected. Hours melted into each other until it quietly became a 12-hour drive. Even then, she didn't complain. The car was stocked like a private lounge. Snacks, drinks, music, and air conditioning humming softly. Whenever she slept, Femi drove. Whenever she woke, something was offered to her. Hunger never stood a chance. By the time they entered the village, night had settled fully, thick and quiet. The road narrowed, trees closing in on both sides, but Bella barely noticed. She was busy scrolling through her phone, smiling at her balance like it might disappear if she stopped looking. Then the house appeared. It wasn't what she expected. Not mud, not modest. A mansion stood boldly in the middle of the village, lights glowing warmly like it was waiting just for them. They hadn't even fully parked when the doors opened. Femi's family stepped out smiling, his mother first, wide and welcoming, his father calm and observant. "Welcome," his mother said warmly. Bella smiled back, stepping out confidently. She didn't notice how the night suddenly felt heavier. She only noticed she had arrived. Inside the house, everything felt deliberate, too polished, too quiet. The kind of quiet that didn't come from peace, but from control. The floors gleamed, the furniture looked untouched, and even the air felt measured like it had rules. Bella admired it openly. Village or not, this was wealth, the type that didn't need noise to announce itself. Food was brought not long after. Large plates, plenty of meat. Femi's mother smiled as she watched Bella eat, nodding approvingly each time she reached for more. Bella didn't disappoint. She ate happily, comfortably, enjoying the attention. The meat tasted unfamiliar. Not bad, just strange, soft, well seasoned, but it didn't remind her of anything she had eaten before. She paused for a brief moment, frowned slightly, then shrugged and continued. She had eaten worse in the city and survived. This was not the time to be picky. As the night deepened, she began to notice little things, the way the housemaids avoided her eyes, the way they moved around her gently, carefully, like people afraid of breaking bad news. When she laughed loudly, the room seemed to stiffen. When she walked through the hallway, conversations ended abruptly. Still, Bella brushed it off. Village people, different ways, different manners. Her room was large, cold, and quiet. Too quiet. Lying on the bed, she scrolled through her phone, smiling at her account balance again, comforted by numbers that had never betrayed her. But sleep refused to come easily. The walls felt thick. The silence felt watchful. And somewhere deep in her chest, a small unease stirred, soft, unfamiliar, unwelcome. Bella turned on her side and laughed quietly to herself. She told herself she was tired. She told herself she was imagining things. Around 9 p.m., she finally fell asleep. Bella drifted off smiling, wrapped in soft sheets, convinced that comfort always followed money. Her breathing evened out, her body relaxed, and the strange heaviness she had felt earlier faded into nothing. Sometime around midnight, sound crept into her sleep. At first, it felt like a dream, low murmurs, distant and rhythmic, like voices passing through water. Her mind tried to make sense of it and failed. She shifted on the bed, half asleep, half aware, telling herself it was just imagination. Then she heard it again, voices, not talking, chanting, slow, deliberate, ancient. Her heart fluttered, but sleep still clung to her eyelids. She told herself it was village prayers, Christmas season, traditions, anything but danger. The murmurs grew louder. Footsteps followed, measured, synchronized movements that didn't belong to dreams. Then came the sound that tore sleep away completely. A sharp metallic click. Another steel touching steel. Bella's eyes flew open. The room was no longer dark. Figures stood around her bed, silent, unmoving. Femi and his mother, both dressed in black. Their faces were calm. Too calm, like people who had done this before and were not nervous about it. Her breath caught when she looked closely at Femi standing there. No trace of the man from the club or the road trip was left in his eyes. At the center of the room stood the father. He held something in his hand and rocked gently as he chanted, his voice low and steady, words Bella did not understand, but felt deeply in her bones. That was when it finally hit her. This was not a dream. This was not a village custom. And money, her trusted shield, was nowhere in the room. Bella tried to sit up. Nothing happened. Confusion hit first, sharp and sudden. She tried again, forcing her body forward, and that was when she felt it. Her wrists, her ankles tight, bound cold against her skin. Panic surged. She opened her mouth to scream. No sound came out, not even a whisper. Her throat worked, her chest heaved, but her voice was gone like it had been switched off. Her heart pounded wildly as she struggled, eyes wide, tears springing without permission. This was not fear she could bargain with. This was not a situation money could rescue. They watched her struggle. Then they laughed. Not loudly, not wildly. Soft laughter, controlled laughter, the kind that carried no joy, only certainty. Femi's mother chuckled slowly, shaking her head as if amused by a child who finally understood a lesson too late. His siblings smiled calmly. Even the maids stood there, faces blank, like witnesses who had long accepted their roles. The father's chanting grew steadier, louder, filling the room with words that pressed against Bella's ears and chest. Each sound felt heavy. Then the knives clicked again, deliberately this time, not rushed, not hidden. Bella shook her head violently, tears spilling freely now. She tried to beg, but her lips only trembled. Her body felt strange, heavy, distant, like she was slipping out of herself. Their laughter faded. The chanting continued. And in that moment, surrounded by faces that no longer pretended to be human, Bella understood the cruelest truth of all. She had traded caution for comfort. She had trusted money where wisdom was required, and the ritual did not pause for regret. When the chanting finally stopped, the room went quiet. Bella struggled again, harder this time. Panic burst out of her chest. She tried to scream, to shout, to call Femi's name. No sound came out. Then they moved closer. One by one, they did what they had gathered to do. They cut her fingers. They cut her toes. Not hurried, not hidden. Femi stepped closer and untied her mouth. He looked at her for a long moment, not angry, not excited, just disappointed, like a teacher correcting a foolish student. Then he spoke. "This is how desperate girls follow death," he said calmly. "Money waves and you don't ask where it's leading you." He shook his head slowly. "You didn't ask my name properly. You didn't ask about my life. You didn't ask where I was taking you. You heard money and your brain shut down." He leaned in. "Girls like you don't need enemies. Your hunger does the work for us." Then he smiled faintly. "And the saddest part, you came willingly." That was when Bella truly broke. Tears poured freely as she shook violently, her whole body pleading where her voice could not. She cried and begged, nodding desperately, promising anything she could think of. "I'll return the money," she sobbed. "I don't want the money again. Please, I just want to go home." They laughed. Not a single person showed mercy. Then they cut one of her ears. Her cries turned to whimpers. Her strength was draining rapidly as fear, pain, and regret swallowed her whole. And while she was still tied up, helpless, broken, unable to defend herself, they beat her mercilessly, as if to strip away the last thing she had left, dignity. She cried till her tears dried up. And in that moment, Bella finally understood the price she had agreed to was not in money, but in flesh, trust, and life itself. This was no business deal. This was a harvest. After they were done, they gathered what they had taken and left the room. Bella lay there, shaking, tied up, broken, listening helplessly as footsteps moved away. Time passed. She didn't know how long. Her tears soaked the pillow. Her body ached. Her mind refused to accept what was happening. Then she realized something else. They were cooking. She couldn't see it, but she knew. The house came alive with movement again. Pots, voices, calm laughter. Everything sounded normal, like an ordinary family preparing a meal. That was when terror truly settled inside her chest. Not long after, they returned. They brought a plate of meat into her room to feed her. Bella shook her head violently the moment she understood. Tears streamed down her face as she twisted away, pleading with her eyes, her body trembling uncontrollably. She tried to scream, tried to beg, but mercy was not part of what they practiced there. They forced it into her mouth. And in that moment, the truth shattered her completely. It was not animal meat. It was what they had taken from her. Her fingers, her toes, one ear. They made her eat parts of herself. Bella cried until her body could no longer keep up, her sobs breaking into silent gasps. Still, no one stopped. No one hesitated. When they were done, they left her there, tied up, broken, and fully aware that she was no longer seen as human, only as meat. And Bella lay there alone in the darkness, bound, violated, and finally understanding the truth she had ignored all her life. And at that point, Bella remembered God. Not the casual God people mentioned when things were going well, but the desperate one people called when all strength had failed. Tears slid silently into her ears as she lay there, broken and bound, staring into the darkness. She prayed without words. She asked for forgiveness. She asked for mercy. And when hope felt like an insult, she asked God to accept her soul because she believed there was no escape. Then, sometime around 3 a.m., the door creaked open. Bella flinched. Two figures slipped into the room quietly. The maids. They moved fast, nervously, cutting the ropes from her hands and legs. One of them pressed a finger to her lips, shaking her head sharply. No sound. Bella could barely stand, but they lifted her between them and guided her through the back corridors of the house. They sneaked her out into the cold night. When they reached a lonely path far from the mansion, the maids stopped. One of them looked her straight in the eyes, fear and urgency fighting for space. Then they held her there in the darkness, one on each side, steadying her weak body as her legs trembled beneath her. Bella's balance was wrong. Everything about her felt wrong. She tried to curl her hands into fists and felt only absence. When the cold night air brushed the side of her head, she remembered. One ear was gone. The reality hit her again, heavy and suffocating. "This whole village," one of the maids whispered urgently, "is not what you think." Bella slowly lifted her head, confused, but fighting the pain. "They don't eat each other," the second maid continued. "They only eat outsiders, travelers, visitors, people who come with promises, pride, and confidence." Her voice shook as she spoke. "The village survives on silence. Everyone knows. Everyone looks away. But Femi's family," she paused. "They are worse." They explained quickly, glancing over their shoulders every few seconds. Femi's family did not only eat human flesh. They used it for rituals, renewing wealth, sealing power, and protecting generations of riches. The mansion was not success. It was sacrifice stacked on sacrifice. "And Femi," the first maid added bitterly, "he hunts. He always brings the desperate girls home." Bella swallowed hard. The maids told her they were born into the village, bound by blood, not choice. Outsiders could be eaten. They could not. That was the only reason they were still alive. If the family discovered they had helped her escape, punishment would come. Beatings, confinement, suffering. But they would not be killed. They were needed. They always were. "We heard you crying," one maid whispered. "We have heard so many cries, but yours felt different. We don't know why, but we couldn't sleep till we helped you." They told Bella the most important thing last. "You are not fully bound yet," the older maid said. "The final binding happens tomorrow at dawn. Once the sun rises and you are still within this land, the village will claim you completely. After that, even death won't be quick. That is why we are helping you now. That is why we are risking everything." Bella nodded weakly. Fear had stripped her of pride, money, confidence, everything. All that remained was the instinct to live. When they finally let her go, she staggered forward instead of running. Her feet protested with every step. Blood soaked the earth behind her, but she didn't look down. She couldn't afford to. She tucked her damaged hands against her chest, cradling them as she moved, breathing through her mouth because crying would slow her down. "Run," the maid whispered again. "Run until the land forgets you." Bella ran the way broken people run. Not fast, not strong, but desperate. She stumbled, fell, crawled, rose again. Every sound behind her felt like pursuit. Every shadow felt like Femi's voice calling her name. She did not look back because she understood now. This was not an escape given freely. It was mercy on borrowed time, and if she did not outrun the night, the village would finish what it had started. Bella didn't remember how long she wandered before the road finally appeared. She only knew that her body had moved on stubborn instinct, long after strength had finished. She stumbled more than she ran, guided by the faint sound of passing vehicles and the distant glow of headlights cutting through the night. Each step hurt. Balance felt strange. Her hands stayed pressed to her chest, not out of pain alone, but out of disbelief. When she reached the main road, her legs gave up. She collapsed right there on the asphalt. A vehicle slowed, then another. Someone shouted, someone knelt beside her. A jacket was placed around her shoulders, warm and heavy. And for the first time since the night began, Bella allowed herself to close her eyes. She woke up days later. White walls, hospital smell, the low, steady sound of machines, doing what her body could not do alone. Nurses spoke gently. Doctors avoided her eyes when explaining what had been done and what could not be undone. She was alive, but parts of her were gone. She lay there now, still in the hospital, wrapped in bandages, learning a new version of herself, one without the body she once used to chase money, attention, and shortcuts. The city was outside again, loud and familiar, but Bella no longer belonged to the life she had lived before. Money had brought her far, but it had almost taken everything, and this time she had no illusion left to spend. Moral lesson. This story is a Christmas warning for young ladies like Bella. During festive seasons, desperation and excitement make dangerous offers look attractive. Promises of quick money, soft life, and luxury trips can hide intentions you may never return from. Not every man offering Christmas enjoyment means well. Not every invitation home is safe, and not every money is worth the price it will demand later. Christmas should bring life, not regret. Before you follow anyone, ask questions. Before you chase money, value your safety, because some journeys taken for enjoyment don't end with celebration. They end with scars. If this story touched you, let us know in the comments and tell us where in the world you're watching from. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more emotional, dramatic, and unforgettable stories. Until next time, stay kind, stay strong, and keep watching.